Ortiz versus Teofimo Lopez. Was it a robbery or was it not a robbery? Go into it. Probox TV, I heard Chris Algieri speaking, and he was saying it was a close fight. It wasn't a robbery. All right, Chris Algieri, this is what I'm going to say about that. People are saying that Jermaine Ortiz wasn't throwing enough punches in the final part of the fight. That's not necessarily the important thing here. When he did throw, he was very effective. He landed his punches, kind of like Floyd, Teo wasn't landing much of anything for almost the entire fight. That's the problem. Because Jermaine was keeping him at bay. He had established range, and he was outboxing him. Jermaine won like about 10 of those 12 rounds. I think Teo won the first round, and I think he won like, I don't know, some other round where he was showboating or whatever. But Teofimo Lopez could not solve Jermaine Ortiz. Just couldn't solve him. And he kept following him around the ring. Couldn't cut off the ring because Jermaine has really good foot movement, and I told y'all, Teo's more flat-footed. He's a flat-footed fighter. He's explosive, but he's flat-footed. And Jermaine stayed in the southpaw stance for the entire fight. Fought him as a southpaw for most of the fight. He did go orthodox once or twice, but he went southpaw for most of the fight. And basically was landing straight, left hands to the body and to the head. Check hooks. On the inside, he was ripping the shots to the body. He was doing his thing. Jermaine Ortiz should have been the WBO champion tonight. Last night. Sorry, my bad. Last night. He should have been the WBO champion. Is it a robbery? Absolutely, it's a robbery. This is one of those fights where it's a robbery. Where, you see, to not be a robbery, you got to land. To make a fight competitive, you have to land shots. And Teo was falling short with a lot of his shots because he wasn't in range. So he's falling shots, falling in. And then Jermaine Ortiz, when he's falling in, will counter him. Now, Teo had some decent defense, though, because Jermaine wasn't hitting him just like that all the time. But Jermaine picked his shots, circled Teo, and outboxed him. This is a case where a fighter actually outboxed another fighter. Clearly, Jermaine was the one in control of that fight. Clearly, Jermaine was the one landing more of the punches. I don't care what punch that say. Clearly, Jermaine Ortiz was controlling the tempo of the fight. Teofimo Lopez couldn't get into range. I told you he's a mid-range fighter. He couldn't get into range to do those exchanges he wanted to. And even when he did, Jermaine was defensively responsible, so Teo was missing most of the time, or Jermaine was blocking the shots. So, if you look at that fight, Teo was outboxed. And it's because of his feet. It's a flat-footed fighter. So Jermaine is able to get into position, work around him. So when Jermaine starts to cry at the end of this fight, it's because he knows the fight was taken from him. He knew he had to knock Teo out to win this fight. This fight was rigged for Teo to win. And it is a robbery. This is one of those fights where it's a robbery. They're not swing rounds. They're not rounds where you can say, oh, it could go to Teo, it could go to... Initially, in the beginning, because Teo won the first round, in my opinion. But initially, it looked the fight seemed sort of close. But as the fight went on, 10, 11, 12, and all of those rounds, even 10 to 12, where people are saying Teo took those rounds, I don't even know. Those rounds were close. Jermaine was countering. Jermaine was landing shots on Teo. Just that Teo did more work and actually got some shots landed versus the other earlier rounds because he's falling short a lot. And I guess Jermaine engaged him more. So Jermaine, clearly Teo was the bigger, stronger guy in there. Jermaine, coming up and away from 135 to 140, he would have to acclimatize. So Jermaine could never have knocked out Teo. I watched the fight. Jermaine hit him with a flush, left hook, and Teo was going nowhere, okay? But what Jermaine was able to do was outbox Teo, outthink him, outmove him, outmaneuver him, outmanipulate him. And Teo tried different things in the fight. He tried to use the George Foreman turtle shell. Then he tried to use different techniques. He tried to stay under the shots, and he did get under some of Jermaine Ortiz's shots. He tried different things to close the distance, but none of it worked because he doesn't know how to close the distance like that. He fights at mid-range. He is ineffective on the inside, and he's ineffective on the outside. I told you, he's a limited fighter. He's a flawed fighter. And Jermaine Ortiz exposed that. For 10 rounds, Jermaine Ortiz exposed it. And then Tio won. That's why Jermaine Ortiz was celebrating at the end of the fight. He knew he won that fight. On points? Oh yeah, he took that fight. He took it. He took it from Tio. And Tio got... you look at one of the judges. One of the judges scored it 117-111. There's no way you could score that fight 117-111 for Teofimo Lopez. Jermaine Ortiz, sure. Because Jermaine Ortiz won at least 9 rounds. At least 9 rounds out of the 12. And I'm not exaggerating. I just watched the fight. I'm not exaggerating. I'm just telling y'all guys what I saw. Okay? Tio wasn't landing much of anything. Because Jermaine kept him at bay. He kept range. So he was safely out of range, hitting him with jabs and hitting him with left hands most of the night. That's what he was doing. Okay? So the people who are, trying to defend Tio on this because Jermaine didn't knock him out or something, I mean, y'all far left field, man. That was a robbery. That's what you call a robbery. There weren't swing rounds, so I could say it was a close fight. It was somewhat competitive. Jermaine didn't completely dominate Tio like that, but he was making him look stupid. He was making him miss. He was making him look uncoordinated, and he was clocking him while he was missing. He made him miss and made him pay. Sandor Martin did something like that with Tio, but Tio was actually landing double right hands, and he started to land hands to the body and to the head. He's not even doing that with Jermaine Ortiz. He's not even getting that opportunity to do that. To say he's making a mark of some kind. He never did none of that. Right? So that's the difference. And Jermaine was robbed. That's the only way to put it. I mean, I'm sorry. This was a robbery. This is a conspiracy, and clearly it was a conspiracy because Steve Weissman's a guy who knows how to judge fights. There's no way Steve Weissman saw that 117-111. That's corruption in boxing. It was like, you know what? We gotta give Tio this fight. He gonna get by this fight. And the way how Jermaine Ortiz fought, he fought kind of like Devin Haney in the southpaw stance. The way how he was working around him, the way how he was dipping out of the shots and rolling under shots and stuff like that. Because he wasn't really directly in front of Tio at any point in the fight. He kept on getting position on Tio because he was always one step ahead of him. So, Teofimo Lopez, man, I mean, they gave him that decision. It is what it is. Boxing is a corrupt sport, and they gave him that decision. He did not win that fight. I'm sorry. And I like Tio. I'm not talking from a hateful perspective. I know he's a limited fighter, and Jermaine exposed him. Completely exposed him. Completely. The only thing Jermaine didn't do was drop him. Tio was off balance at the time. He missed Jermaine so bad, he fell into the ropes. And Jermaine made him pay. Like what I love about what Jermaine did, he would roll out sometimes and then he would turn the tables on Tio, kind of like Sean Porter would turn the tables on a guy, stop beating up Tio against the ropes. But Tio again got some defense, so he's rolling and riding some of those shots. He's not getting hit flush, you know what I mean? So you gotta give Tio some credit for his skill and stuff. But I'm surprised Jermaine didn't switch to orthodox and throw the overhand right. But I guess Jermaine realized he didn't have enough power to really significantly hurt Tio, so he stayed in the southpaw stance. But completely outboxed. That was a masterclass by Jermaine Ortiz. Masterclass. That's why they call him the technician, ladies and gentlemen. But just like Marvin Hagler from Massachusetts, they not giving this guy a fair shake. You know, they didn't give him a fair shake against Lomachenko, and they not giving him a fair shake against Teofimo Lopez. Dude arguably won the Lomachenko fight. You could argue that. But with this Teofimo Lopez fight, there's no argument. He won it. You know what I'm saying? He won the Teofimo Lopez fight. Period. They took it from him. You know? And it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, this is boxing. But in the public's eye, and to people like myself, I thought he won the fight. I I really did. I didn't see Tio do anything significant for me to believe that Tio won this fight. He did nothing, you know. He did nothing. He never hurt Jermaine. Jermaine's defense was on point. He hardly hit Jermaine. He hit him with 1 or 2 shots, but he hardly hit Jermaine in this fight. And yes, he was the aggressor, but he wasn't the effective aggressor. Jermaine was the one picking his shots. Jermaine was the one landing the telling blows. He didn't have the power to really, you know, he snapped Tio's head back a couple of times. And another thing that Tio was doing that was really poor, he was headhunting a lot. Headhunting a lot in this fight. And you can't be doing that against a boxer like Jermaine. You need to slow him down. You need to go to the body. Every time you get an opportunity to go to the body, you go to it. And Tio wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing it. Meanwhile, Jermaine was hitting him with body shots. He was mixing it up. He was going with head shots. He was throwing the long jab to the body, the straight left to the body. He was doing those kinds of things, you know. He was mixing it up, you know. And that's something you have to do in boxing. You can't be, you know, Tio got some, you know, Tio said Jermaine is one dimension. Now he not, you know. And it's really sad. Jermaine is not no big name in boxing. They're not pushing him. All their money's not behind him. So, you know, Jermaine, it was really going to be hard for Jermaine to get that decision from the get-go, from the jump. You know what I mean? And that's sad because, honestly speaking, it should never be this way. And where am I? Where exactly am I? What's the place here? I think this is the place. It's closed still? Shit, the guy was telling me about some place. Okay, so anyway, that's what I got for you guys. That's my analysis of the situation. If you guys want me to specifically break down the rounds, I thought Jermaine really shut out marvelously. And where am I? Is that it? Down there? Where am I? I'm on the wrong place. I think I'm in the wrong place. All right, yeah. I think you know, yeah, I'm in the wrong place. Yeah, you know, shout out to those guys, man. You guys can leave your comments there. You can donate via PayPal, as usual. Shout out to everybody out here. WattUneed's out of here. I wish you guys a blessed day. It is what it is with boxing, you know what I'm saying? Boxing's that kind of way. But Jermaine Ortiz, everybody need to let him know he won that fight. He really did. I'm not trying to, it's not about against Tio or anything, but he won that fight. It just was taken from him by the judges, unfortunately.